10 months from the Iowa caucuses, but a new poll seems to show that the wide-open GOP field may not be that wide open. In fact, the latest Gallup poll shows really only 4 big contenders. Mike Huckabee, whose support has grown from 12% to 19%, that's since September. Mitt Romney, who has lost a bit of momentum but still gets 15%. Sarah Palin with 12%, and Newt Gingrich with 10% of support. But how much weight should we be giving these numbers this early on, and what did they say about the way the race is in fact shaping up? Ron Bonjean is the communications director for former House Speaker Dennis Hastert, and Adam Goldberg, a former White House special counsel to President Clinton. Thank you so much for joining us, both of you.
Thank you.
So, Adam, I'll begin with you. Do you think that this poll is representative of how things will ultimately shape up for Republicans?
No, I don't think so. I think there are other polls showing Mitt Romney ahead when the polls are of people who identify themselves as conservatives. I'll tell you, President Obama would love this poll to be accurate. He would like nothing more than run against somebody like Mike Huckabee. You know, he's somebody whose social views differ from those of the majority of the Americans, and he has nothing to add on the economy.
Ron, what do you think? I'll toss it over to you. These polls, they do have a tendency to change as voters become more aware of the candidates. What do you think that means for Governor Huckabee?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think it's way early yet. Governor Huckabee has a lead. I think because he's not necessarily, outspoken in the news and hasn't been involved in some of the controversies lately. You know, he has a very popular show on Fox. He is a very likable person and has a very positive demeanor. And I think, people have heard a lot from Newt Gingrich, have heard a lot from Sarah Palin. They know about Mitt Romney, and I think that's why Huckabee has floated up to the top. But I think the numbers are still relatively small, even though we have 4 candidates, and that there's still a lot of time between now and Iowa.
There definitely is. And Ron, Politico actually took this poll a step further. We're showing those results right now. In general, they took a look at which candidate is just liked more, and Huckabee again led that. And also amongst Fox News viewers, Huckabee led that poll as well. But still, Huckabee, Romney, Palin, Gingrich, they remain the top 4. So I ask you, do you think that anyone will break through this pack as we get closer to the election?
Oh, I think the opportunity is there for someone to break through the pack. I think it's extremely soft. Only a couple of these people, like Gingrich and Romney, are actually setting up their campaigns for 2012. It doesn't look like Huckabee is going to run at this point. I think he bought a mega mansion down in Florida, I read, and Sarah Palin doesn't look like she's going to run. It's really soft right now. I think someone could break through there if they really wanted to, but it has to be someone with the right message about how to solve the economy and how to create jobs and how to get us out of this international mess.
Adam, what about you? What about some of the folks not included in this poll? The Gallup polling, it did include a fair number of candidates, just to be fair, but I found it interesting that some of the folks not included were added as voluntary responses from those polled. Those include Donald Trump, Governor Chris Christie, Herman Cain, amongst others. What do you think about their chances?
Well, I don't think Donald Trump has any chance unless he's running a casino, not running for president. I think the other candidates, it depends. Are they moderate or are they social conservative? I think one problem that the moderates are going to have, folks like Mitt Romney or Tim Pawlenty or some of the other folks, is that they're running in a primary of Republicans where 50% of the Republicans don't recognize the president's Christianity and 25% don't recognize that he was born in the United States. And that's tough for people who are focusing on the economy, like Ron says, instead of focusing on social issues.
Well, Adam, I have to point out, because I had a feeling that you were going to bring that up, and I did a little bit of research, and if you take a look at the polls really across the board in reference to that, like the birthers, the so-called birthers, a New York Times poll found that that's pretty equivalent to the numbers across Americans. 20% of Americans, according to this poll from the New York Times, they think that what you just said in terms of 25% of Republicans, that he was born in the U.S. So it's pretty comparable there.
Well, that may be the case, but it's still the fact that in terms of who's the likely voters, I doubt the likely voters in the United States, when the birth certificate's been on the web for years now, think that doesn't believe that the president was born in the United States.
Well, 49% of Republicans believe that he was.
49% of Republicans believe that he was. That's
Yes.
right, but that's right. But you still have to, for the folks who are fiscal conservatives, who like Mitt Romney and Tim Pawlenty, the moderates, they still have to get through the social conservatives and those that have these, birther beliefs, the more extreme beliefs, the odd beliefs about the president's religion. They have to get through, those groups of people, and that's going to be hard. And that's what the Republicans have to do to get a candidate who can win nationally.
But you're not saying that Huckabee is one of those folks, right?
Oh, well, I mean, the former governor has made some odd comments about the president's
No, he did.
growing
Most
up.
recently, though, he said, what was it, that birthers are, quote, wasting their time and energy with insistence that Obama was not actually born in the U.S. That was his latest quote.
That's true, but he's also chosen to sort of perpetrate this idea that the president has foreign influences from his growing up that somehow affect his thinking as a president, which is absurd.
All right. So I have to wrap you up, but Ron, I am going to give you the final word on this.
Yeah, I'm not going to get involved in that mess, but I'll tell you, I think that two things are really important here. One is that Republican primary candidates running for president have to get their organization set up and moving now. President Obama is already doing it because he knows it's going to be a tough fight. And two, they've got to put together their plans on how to solve the economy and create jobs. That'll punch through and into primary voters and eventually carry the election.
All right, still a long time to go. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you both, Ron and Adam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tributes coming in from across the political spectrum for politician and pioneer Geraldine Ferraro. She died Saturday at the age of 75 after a long battle with blood cancer. She was the first woman to run on a major party ticket for vice president of the United States.